Here's some examples of word problems using ratios. The board was cut into two pieces whose lengths were in the ratio 2 to 5. The longest piece was 85 inches. How long was the shortest piece? Since we're talking about two pieces, let's identify them with letters. So we'll say piece A and piece B. The lengths were in the ratio of 2 to 5. So start by giving them each one bar, and then I'm going to adjust that so that this is true. Ratio of 2 to 5. So A is going to have 2, and B will be our longer board with 5 units. All right, so that's the ratio of our lengths. It says the longest piece was, and we'll check that off. We use that. The longest piece was 85 inches. So this is the longest piece. Its total length then is going to be 85 inches. And I want to know how long the shortest piece is. In order to decide that, I'm going to need to know how much each of these units are. And so I'll use this. There are 5 units equal to 85. So I'm going to do 5 into 85, and that'll go once, 35, and or 10 times rather, and then 7 times 35, 0. So each one of these units then has a value of 17. Altogether, that's 85. 17 times 5 is 85. And these units, since they're the same value, also are 17. So I've used this. How long was the shortest piece? 2 of those. 2 times 17 equals 34 inches. Let's take a look at another problem. And if you want to review this one, of course, you can go back, you can pause it, rewind, you can do whatever you like. At a track meet, 5/8 of the students were boys. There were 48 more boys. How many students were there altogether? So in this problem, I can see we're talking about students, and boys are mentioned. And we probably are also going to be talking, since this is how many students were there altogether, we want to know how many total boys and girls. So we better include girls. It says that 5/8 of the students were boys. Now I could make a single bar that had 5 units in it, or 8 units, and give the boys 5. But I would like to do this in 2 different bars. So the boys are going to have 5 out of 8, and the girls then are going to have 3 out of 8 to make 8 units altogether. So 5/8 of the students were boys, 3/8 of the students are girls. We've used that. There were 48 more boys. So where in the picture are the boys that are extra? It's these 2 units right here. So that must represent altogether 48 boys. Well, if there are 2 of them are 48, then each one is equal to 24. Each of these other units is also 24. And as we look at the problem to see what the original question is, I'll check this off. 48 more boys, we got that on the picture. It says how many students were there altogether? Well, there are 8 units altogether, 24 in each. 8 times 24 times 4 is 32. 8 times 20 is 160, plus 3 is 190. It's 192. So there are 192 students. All right, let's look at one more problem. Teresa read 2¼ times as many pages on Saturday as on Sunday. She read 120 more pages on Saturday. How many pages did she read altogether? So what are we talking about? Teresa read some pages. She read some on Saturday, and she read some on Sunday. So we need a bar for Saturday, and we need something for Sunday. We'll give each of these 1 unit, and then we'll adjust the picture to make true what we find in the problem. So Teresa read 2 1/4 times as many pages on Saturday. So Saturday is longer. If Saturday were 2 times as many, it would look like this, but it's 2 1/4 times as many pages. So what we need to do is find out what is 1/4 of Sunday. Sorry about that, not quite as even as I'd like. So we're dividing everything up into quarters. So that is 1/4. So if she read 2 1/4, that would mean 1 more of those units. Each of those is equal to 1/4. Altogether, she read 120 more pages on Saturday. That's the 120 more pages. Extra. It's 5 units that equals 120. So we want to do 120 divided by 5. 120 divided by 5, that goes in 20 times, makes 100. 20 left over 4 times 20. And again, each of these units is equal to 24. How many pages did she read altogether? Each of these is 24. And if I count them up, it's going to be 9 there, plus 4 more there. So that's going to be 13 24s altogether. 13 times 24. That's going to be 72. And 240 to 312. So she read 312 pages.